motherfucking East Coast, the man with the most beard. You here with us? With the Beard Speaks, homie Chuck. I'm R.O.C. Y'all know what it is. Yeah.
Oh, come on, he's a miserable cocksucker fucking asshole. You hate him, admit it.
What up, heads? Chuck Reeves, East Coast Beast Host here for another glorious episode of The Beard Speaks. Today, I'm joined by a very, very special guest, someone who's been kicking around this underground, doing things, making things happen for damn near 25 motherfucking years.
Yeah.
Someone who's been whispered about in rumor and legend of super groups and the return of certain evil triads for quite the long time. His latest release is called Digital Voodoo, and joining me live via some of that Digital Voodoo right now, his name is Raps on Contact. Welcome the R.O.C. to The Beard Speaks.
Thank you, man. I truly appreciate it. It's a great feeling finally to be presented, the album Digital Voodoo be presented to the fam the right way, you know.
Congratulations on that. And I mean, you know, the chart numbers just hit this week. Number 9 top rap album in the country on Billboard, number 16 top independent album, and number 106 on the Billboard Top 200. Chart shit ain't no small feat for anybody, especially an independent artist like yourself. Is this your first time cracking that top 200?
That is my first time, man, actually kind of Billboard charting anything, period. You know, of course, you know, the way I look at it is it's a blessing. Because it's weird, because for me, I ain't had nothing out in over a decade. Really ain't had nothing out. And like you said, you know, you kind of always heard whispers for this or that, or never really much from the guy. People don't really know. I don't know the guy. I seen him do some shows with Twisted, and I heard he used to be in HOK, but, you know, and then, you know, you come out with this new album, and then it charts, and you're just like, what? It's like, what?
So the commercial and critical validation that you're receiving from the fam out there after, I mean, people were waiting with bated breath. Were you concerned that maybe you had waited too long?
That is something definitely I was concerned about. Like that, you know, man, you know, it's been so long. It's been so long, you know, and the whole thing of, you know, steady long, steady wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh man, it's just too long, man. But yeah, man, everybody seemed to embrace it. You know, you still have those that are kind of resisting, like, I don't know about R.O.C. I'm gonna keep holding it off. But then they keep hearing all of the avalanche of people that are like, man, this album is pretty dope, dude. It's pretty good, dude. It's pretty good. So, you know, I'm kind of getting those too, because I've even had people, man, I gotta be honest, I didn't even like you, dog. I ain't like nothing you did, but I heard this album and you're the shit. So stay being the shit. I'm like, thank you, but I was always cool. I was always just shit with me. I just didn't release albums. That's all. I'm good.
For me, and I know for some of the OGs, you've always been that dude at the underground party that may or may not show up, but when he fucking does, it's, oh shit, R.O.C. is here. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So you was always that wild card, but you, for us up here, at least in the Northeast, you was always someone we embraced. We love that dirty, grimy Detroit sound, and that's something that even when you didn't have, per se, the Juggalo spotlight on you, you were still representing, and you were still creating that grimy Detroit content.
Definite.
So I'm really glad that you feel good about this, because a lot of people, I mean, and then to also be yet another album that's charting from Majik Ninja right now, it must feel real good to participate in keeping that batting average of fucking 1,000 right now.
It does, and it does, because I did another interview, I forgot how long ago, and somebody mentioned that, something about charting, and I was like, fuck, these cats put all this pressure on me. Now I gotta be out here charting, put all this damn pressure, and I didn't know. I'm like, man, I don't know if I will, because again, it's that long wait period. You know, did I wait too long? Did I, you know, this, this, and, you know, I don't know, and I don't know, and I'm the guy that's never really out there. It's like I am the elusive, you know, man.
The slender man.
Right. We hear about him, but he doesn't exist. He exists, but he doesn't exist. So it's like I didn't know. So again, when that chart numbers, and it's just like, hey, hey, yeah, that's how it was. I was like, well, hell yeah, I was happy. So it was. It's again, it's a blessing, man.
So we here right now, this moment, you've got essentially a hit record on your hands, preparing for other stuff. The rest of the year of the sword, festivities going down. Everybody's real excited about that. But I want to go back.
Okay.
I kind of want to go way fucking back.
Okay.
Halloween night, 1973. A young man by the name of Brian Jones enters this world. As a young man, before the R.O.C., what were your musical experiences living in Detroit, the Motown sound and everything that city had go, Detroit Rock City? Yeah. Were you always surrounded by music?
Always. My mom's, pops, especially my mom's, like as we grew up, a lot of the music that I heard, Sly and the Family Stone, Minnie Riperton, things like that, I felt because of a lot of things that were going on in my family at the time, be it if my parents are fighting and arguing or whatever, and, pops will storm out, and then, so, you got the moms shedding tears, and moms put on the record player, blaring the music. So a lot of that, it just kind of like, it infested me. It kind of, and I knew that music brought joy out of these things as a young boy that I was seeing, that all this pain that I was seeing and things that were kind of ripping at my family, and the music could come on and everything just seemed to be cool. And I'm talking as a young man. So it just kind of, for me, it just infested me. Then at that very young age, I knew I wanted to do something. I don't know what. I want to be a singer, I guess. I want to be a singer. And it wasn't no rap back then, of course. It was all singing and disco and all that type stuff. But when I was very, very young, that I wanted to be involved in entertainment.
Did you pick up an instrument? Did you participate in choir at school, at church?
No, I never really picked up an instrument. Only thing I would kind of always dabble with, and I do actually want to, I would love to take some training, is piano. I would love to kind of, get into that whole thing a little bit more, because I don't know how to like read music. I don't know how to write music. And for me, being a producer and things like that, I kind of don't consider myself a musician. I mean, I don't play any instruments.
As a producer, you do play an instrument.
I do, yeah, I do. I just don't, pick up a guitar and bang into the bang, ba bang, ba bang, or ding, ding, do, 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 like that. But yes, you're right. I kind of do. I kind of do play.
You manipulate sound. Manipulation of sound is instrumentation. Straight the fuck up.
No, exactly. Again, it's just music has always just been, whatever you may be into, it soothes the soul. I don't care if it's all the way from George Strait, if you like country, or if you like Korn or Three Doors Down or shit ICP or Twisted. It does it soothes the soul, man. It's such a good thing sometimes. Music. A lot of the music nowadays I don't understand. A lot of the younger cats coming up, they call it mumble rap and things like that, but I mean, apparently it's doing something, because it's all
my toddler likes that shit. My toddler likes that I Spy with My
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, and the kids.
I can't be mad at it.
And that's me, and that's how I am. I don't be mad at it. Man, them young guys out doing their thing, man. Charting and all these concerts, and they be all turned up, and you just like, okay, just do your thing.
I'm glad you mentioned your production history, because you're most known as an MC. I mean, a lot of your features are fucking legendary, but your contributions as a producer, I think in some ways, maybe in the shadow realm, even overshadow your lyrical gifts and the things you've given. What came first for you? Was it writing rhymes? Was it producing music?
It was producing music, and actually I would beatbox. Can't really do it no more, but I would beatbox. So for me, again, it was always the music of things that spoke more to me than the than the lyrics It was always the music part. The music part always spoke strings, you know, kicks, snares, hi-hats, toms, you know, the pizzicato, whatever. That always spoke more volumes to me than lyrics did. So the production thing kind of came for me first. You know, my first drum machine. So it was always kind of the music, and then the kind of the rhyming aspect of it. You know, lyrics and rhyming aspect of it came later.
Did you do any DJing? Did you do any digging in crates?
That's the thing. I never did any DJing. It was always just my beat machine and keyboard and yeah, but never did any, you know, actual, you know, DJ and things like that. Crate digging, yes, I've always, you know, done that. You know, you hear little stuff and you're like, okay, boom. The biggest thing for me, I never minded, you know, a little sample here, a little sample there, but I was never huge on that. I didn't like it much because it wasn't mine. I am not talking to you. So if I take a sample from Parliament, that's more, it's kind of the both of us, I guess, because of course I'll put my spin on it and take whatever piece of, you know, George Clinton or whatever, you know, so you're kind of speaking that other person, but it was never just me. So I was always big on trying to create from within. So when you hear something, there it is not a interpolation of something else. It's just me. That's just me. So I was always kind of big on that. So I didn't mind crate digging a little bit, but I was always, I remember one time, and I was kind of already in that direction. But some of the best advice I got, this was many, many, many years ago, before anything really started popping. I remember Isham told me, man, you shouldn't sample. You know, you need to just do your own stuff. You don't need to sample. You need to do your own stuff. Again, I was already kind of on that, doing my own stuff, but I took that and I kind of ran with it because it's, you know, again, man, it's so important that you hear me, not somebody else. But sometimes somebody else can speak your story better. Other producers give me tracks, be it Dead Beats, Seven, another guy now, a godsend. You know, like them cats, they'll give you tracks, and you hear it, and you should just write because it speaks your story. They're already kind of telling your story. It's easy.
The art of true collaboration.
Right, there you go. So sometimes it is a lot better to kind of have somebody else tell that. But, you know, as far as production, you know, it's kind of me. And it's a lot trapped. It's a lot trapped in the head, man. It's a lot. And it's a lot more. And I got so much more to do. And I know I can be so much better. And I know it'll show. Because I've been grinding a lot lately as far as producing and things like that. So it'll show. It'll show. It's important.
So it really grew organically from you beatboxing into the percussion and then into full-blown production. Now we're talking about in the days of fucking reel to reel. Are you producing for other artists? Are you producing for fun? Are you producing for homeboys? Because this isn't the days of you got an Apple, you got an album. This is the days of reel to reels and paper bags with cassette tapes in them.
Right, exactly. So a lot of the production, it was more for me. And at that time, when me and my cousin, we were rapping, doing our thing. And that was, again, it was reel to reel. There was no, man, I got Pro Tools. Just cut it and slice it and just put it in the, man, no. You ain't cutting it.
Fuck it. We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in fucking post.
Fix it. We're good. Like, no, dude. It wasn't none of that, dude. It's just, yeah. So a lot of what we were putting into it, we were kind of, you know, it was kind of our sales. One of the earliest tracks I had, that was 87, 88. I think Mom's even still has the reel to reel for it. And the producer for that track actually, and I rapped, and my cousin rapped, and the producer for that track was actually Mike Clark. That was like 87, 88. So this is before,
all right.
This is before, like
the Grammy and the Kid Rock and the
ICP
and the All Summer Long,
all that, man. It was that such a long time ago. And like Mike Clark, you know, on this machine called the Lindrum, and he kind of put some stuff together for us. And again, so that inspired me too. Seeing Mike, you know, do things, and I'm just like, man, how you do that, man? So that kind of inspired me too. Mike Clark definitely had a hand in that.
I'm sure watching him live produce is like watching Superhumans, the way I
Man, I'm
feel when I watch like
telling
an
you.
Arab music nowadays on the
Yeah.
MPC. Some of these kids on the MPCs, they're doing shit with their hands, and I'm like, my
Yeah.
hands don't move like that, son.
I know.
My
Yeah.
hands don't
It's
move like that.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Especially you're right, especially nowadays. These cats
Yeah.
sneeze and fingers, and you just like, what man, how do you even do that? Some of that stuff is just like, it's phenomenal.
Here I am at home with my xylophone, just like ding,
Right, that's
ding, ding,
bing,
you know.
bing, 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 bing. Sometimes it is definitely good to kind of listen to other, because I do, man. I listen to, you know, a lot of different production, whatever, jazz, rock. I do, because it helps, because you see how different producers may approach tracks and different things like that. So, you know, production is definitely always, that was my first experience. It was producing, and then the rapping part of it, you know.
So what made you make that transition to behind the boards to in front of the mic, and what inspired the name Rap Song Contact R.O.C? Because to be honest with you, my entire life of knowledge about you, I hear The Rock, I think Charles S. Dutton,
Right.
Fox Network, mandatory watching. Like, was that? I mean, that was about the same time your first project came out. Rolling with Strength was 92.
Right. Yeah.
Were you familiar with the TV show?
Yes. Yep. Definite. Definite. My cousin, he's the one who, you know, man, you should rap. So I never really wanted to kind of be an artist and things like that. And it's a lot. It had a lot to do, in all honesty, with the type of person that I am. I kind of like being behind the scenes, behind the boards, even when I did my group projects, because then you kind of got, you know, other people there, and y'all just vibing and y'all doing y'all thing. And I love the camaraderie. When it's just me, it's like, it's cool, but it's just me. And I always thought to myself, man, who gives a shit? Don't nobody give a fuck. It's just you. Come on, get out of the way. You know, I'd rather produce, and let me just vibe out with you. Just let me get some beats. So that's kind of how I always was. But then it got to the point where I'm like, all right, man, I'm writing my rhymes and the tempos, and really, because some of the stuff, you know, I think back and it's like, oh Lord, what the hell was I doing, man? Some of that stuff is like, no. But
Well,
you
you
know,
must be happy. A lot of the old stuff is hard to find. Trust me, I've been fucking looking for it.
right. Still never was really comfortable with it just being me. Not that I didn't think that I could do it. I knew I could. Yeah, man. Really quick story. Even when I did my first ever tour as R.O.C was with Insane Clown Posse, which that was their first bigger tour at that time. All they wanted to just take the R.O.C on tour. They didn't want to take House of Krazees. They wanted the R.O.C. Even then, I remember talking to Alex and talking to Violent J and telling them, no, man, I'm telling you to be better with the House of Krazees thing. I was always pushing. They were still like, no. But I was like, okay, well, I need hype men then. So I kind of had my hype man, which was Madrox and Monoxide, come along with me. But we still did on the tour all HOK shit. I just pushed us in that way. Like, I just like the camaraderie. I like it to be, you know, yeah, man, this is all of us, man. This is all of us. It's almost like where people put all of us, the juggalos or our style of music. It's just so awesome that we all represent that, and we just look at the world and it's like, it's all of us. It's just all of us. And that's cool if y'all don't like what we do and y'all against us. It doesn't matter. This is great. It's all of us. It's not just, hey, it's R.O.C. No, it's all of us. We all represent. So that's kind of how I always was, you know. So that's why you never saw a bunch of solo albums from R.O.C. It was always so sporadic. It was just kind of like, Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. It's like decades between full-length albums. Cause
Leave them wanting more. That's what I keep seeing. And I see it. I mean, speaking to you now and knowing you now, and people might have seen, you know, your breaks here and there as laziness. And what I see of it is a
right.
lack of ego, because you never did stop contributing to this culture and to this
You know
scene.
what, man? That is thank you. That is the word that I couldn't find. Thank you. It's ego.
Kill my ego
They
is why
want to
I don't have one.
That's right. I've never thank you, man.
Because I know that song. I've been
It,
listening to the new shit a lot. And I
right.
didn't, that's not what triggered that word. Literally, you saying what you're saying about the us, not you concept.
Exactly. And
And
that's
some
it.
people might see it from you as being whatever, but like I said, you've never stopped
Right.
contributing. So this has just been
No.
a lack of
And that's
ego
the
on your
thing.
part.
Right. And it's not laziness, and it's not, it is a lack of ego. I even have family, friends. I mean, man, you need to have more. You need to be more. And I tell them, I understand. You know, people say, man, you need, because you ain't like no real rapper. You gotta have some, you know, and I just, you right. You right. That's just not me. I'm not that. I've just never been that guy, bruh. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just that's not me, man. I'd rather see us all get on. Like it's all of us. Yeah, it's all of us instead of it just being just me. But sometimes
Well,
to get there, it needs to be just you. Sometimes same thing. Look at Twisted. It needed to be just them. Look how the shit came all the way back around. Now my childhood friends put me on. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah,
So
exactly.
sometimes you need that. I've always, even in my down years, I've always tried to contribute a little bit of something here and there, be it if I'm in the studio messing with tracks or production on something else or different things like that. I've always, kind of tried to just kind of breathe a little bit of life into into the hip hop rap thing, man. It's just I have to.
You had your first real release on cassette, Rolling with Strength. Big Father High Top and the R.O.C. came in
Mhm.
1992. One track, I believe, was produced by Eastside Hoes and Money.
Yeah. So yeah, he did produce one of the tracks on that record. Came out '92. Me and my cousin did a lot of the other production and things like that, and recorded ourselves and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it was wow, yeah, that was a fun time. Everything was so raw. Everything was so new. It was so raw back then.
How long had you been an active MC up to that point? Had you been
I,
performing? Had you been going to open mics? Had you been going to
no, what we did, me and my cousin did a couple of things, like on a couple of little cable shows and stuff like that. Me and him actually got out and performed and did a couple things, and no open mics, nothing like that. Since I guess 88, 87, 88 is when I actually been, kind of doing the rapping thing. Because again, Mike Clark did production for me back at that time. And this is, like I said again, it's well before, you know,
those must be the fucking lost tapes. Those are the lost tapes.
yeah, yeah, definite. And that was a long time ago. A very young Mike Clark, just starting out at Side Sticks is what it was called at that time. It's the disc now, but Side Sticks. But yeah, so it was way back then, man. We were just kind of just doing this rap thing, man, just trying to, do something. And then we, scraped up enough money to come out with the cassette tape. And, we thought we made it. We was like, man, we got the cassettes in today. We made it. We
And
just,
you were out there. You were out there on the street slinging them cassettes
we
out of the
was
trunk
out
of the
there on
car,
the
doing street
street.
team style.
Yep, me and my cousin was on it. We
I mean,
was on it.
in 92, you had a large number of MCs, especially and other hip hop related
Yeah.
people coming up in the
Mm-hmm.
city. What was that climate like at that age, having a new release and then having to go
Wow.
out there and trying to push it? Because literally you had guys like you had guys like
Yep.
Kid Rock,
Mm-hmm.
ICP, and then a little later on, people like Slum Village and Dilla, who they do Dilla Day in Detroit. So what was I mean, at
Yeah.
that time, it must have been just a hotbed of talent and just
It was. It was so crazy, like you said, because you had all these other people doing it. It felt so good because it was so raw. Everything was so raw. You know, rap was still kind of in its infancy. It was still kind of, it was getting there. It was getting there, but it still wasn't, of course, what it is now. So it was still so raw. Getting out there and you seeing all these other people out there passing out their flyers and hustling their cassettes.
I mean, it seems inspiring, all these dudes out there, and it was a bunch of guys who were in control of their own destiny. There was nobody telling them to hit the street with these flyers. Nobody told you to go out there and make a cassette. This was something you decided to take your fate and your destiny into your own hands and take a stab at it.
Yeah.
You got a lot of guys out here nowadays dropping a mixtape for $10, but they didn't have to worry about reel to reel and production of tapes. How many months did you have to scrape together your nickels to make sure you had this money?
Yeah. Because nowadays, everybody got a studio. Everybody dropping mixtapes and that.
Yeah, and then it goes on Nat Piff. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have like they're
no.
You're not even making things that exist.
Yeah, it's very easy now. Yeah, back then, oh my goodness, it was so hard. And then for me and my cousin, we worked jobs. So we had regular 9 to 5s. So we, at a young age, working at the corner store or cutting somebody's grass and just saving up every little penny you got just to get enough money to get into the studio. That ain't even to buy no tapes or nothing. That ain't even to buy none of that. So, it took forever. That's why in actuality, it was done a year or more prior to us even putting it out. It's just you had to scrape up the money to be able to
pay the tape maker, because you can't do 50 tapes. You had to do a minimum order of cassettes.
That's it. Yeah.
You had the butterfly cases with the insert. This was a pro job. This wasn't a max.
It was crazy, right? It was crazy. And again, your project, you done with it. You was done with it a year and a half ago. You just can't put it out because you ain't got no money. So you scraping up your money to try to, now we get to order some cassettes to put the cassette out finally. But yeah, it would have been bananas back then if you'd have had what you had now, with the internet and all of that. And oh man, the album is done today and we gonna upload it tomorrow, y'all. So
it'll be ready. In your ear. It'll be in your ear in 6 hours. I can do a single and have it in somebody's ear in 6 hours.
Exactly.
That before, because you had to produce vinyl, deliver the vinyl to the fucking radio station, hope the DJ played that shit, hope they played the shit club. Now
real.
Yeah, and I mean the cost and the ease has gone down so much. I mean, and for somebody like you who has been in this game over 20 years, it must just be like the fucking Twilight Zone that you could literally have an idea recorded at the crib, bounce it to the engineer 3,000 miles away, have him bounce it back to you 2 hours later, and you can have it on the street with promotion.
Yeah,
in less than 24. It's just
crazy.
It's insanity.
It is. It is just crazy now. The things you can do and take, spit your verse and 2-3 verses, and you know what? Take this word from this one and put this here. Take that part, and you know what? I only got to do the chorus one time and then fly it throughout the rest of the song. And you like, well, goddamn, I love it because it's so much easier for me. I don't know how to do a lot of the shit I used to do. Punch-ins.
Yeah. I don't like punch-ins, but it became so much easier to punch in every fucking line that it's all I see people doing in the studio. Yeah, from a day where you one-take jaked it because you didn't want to spend that hour in the studio wasting time punching in.
That's how it was. Jamie, Paul, we in the studio, and I'm putting HOK together. Hey, come on, let's record this. And then, okay, Jamie fuck up his verse. So you take your ass all the way back to the beginning,
We ain't wasting another tape. We gotta overwrite this one. We gotta overwrite this tape.
That's it. I'm telling you. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, but nowadays.
Towards the end of the year, you hooked up with Jamie and Paul musically. Now, you said you already knew them personally. How did they hear production and just decided this is the sound we're looking for?
I'd known them, of course, as we were kids, since we were kids, man. But for me, I was always doing my thing. They weren't into the whole rap thing. Me and my cousin split, and then they were kind of wanted to get into something. Wanted to get in a little bit. And then why would you two get into something basically without me? Or why would I get into something without y'all? We're already best friends. Fuck it, let's just do it together. And HOK was born.
And originally you were only brought in to produce and then do a couple of features. How did that contribution morph into you just becoming the third Horcrux of this unholy triad?
Kind of along those lines, you know, if y'all want to do something, I'll help you, you know, because again, hey, they you know, they didn't look at it like, hey man, that's R.O.C. They didn't look at it like that. It was just, hey, yeah, that's our homie, you know. So yeah, and he's been doing it, so doing it before we doing it. So yeah, he knows what the fuck he's doing. So you know, get in there. I'll help you out with a couple of tracks, and yeah, I'll do this. And then again, it was just like, what's the point in doing this? I'm not doing nothing. Me and my cousin don't, you know, rap no more, and I'll end up doing a solo project again probably one day. But shit, we might as well just go ahead and just do it together. You know, and then it just came to me being a permanent part of what they're doing, not just, you know, producing a couple of maybe features. It just became to me being a permanent part, and the three of us just doing it.
The initial run of HOK burst 6 releases: Home Sweet Home in '93, Homebound and Season of the Pumpkin in '94, Outbreed in '95, Head Trauma in '96, and then the Collector's Edition '97 in 1997. There's a story I stumbled across that in the 1994 to 96 time frame, your younger brother and current NWI artist, Mr. Yug, deleted some sessions from an HOK meeting. Do you remember this incident? He spoke about it quite highly, and I remember I beat my brother's ass over a fucking Madden game over right. I can imagine how I would have beat somebody with a chair, like straight up. But you don't remember this incident?
That I don't remember. I don't remember. And that's the thing. I don't remember. Who knows? It must. And the way I look at it, it must not have been nothing of that great of importance. Because if it was, I would have fucking remembered. Man, it must have been. It probably was some shit that I probably did, and then he probably went ahead and put him some together and delete. Yeah, you can have these.
But I mean, in those days, dealing with the reel to reel and just dealing with the sheer number of fucking things you had to do to produce an album and get the vocals down, were there any lost sessions? Is there a box in a storage unit someplace of dusty tapes and it's some unheard HOK or maybe some old beats from you that never hit the street?
I definitely have a lot of old beats that never hit the streets. HOK, we kind of, it was kind of a, we didn't do and say, well, we don't want to use this. Well, we won't use that. When we did stuff, it was, did we do it? We use it. And that's kind of how it was. So we didn't have like a whole giant stockpile of like old stuff. We don't want to use that track, or we don't want to use this track or that track or something like that. It was stuff that when we did it, we used it. When we did it, we used it because of, you know, money, time restraints, things like that. So you're like, hey, we ain't getting in playing around and do 6, 7 songs. So we're not going to use those. Do 12 more, we'll use these 12. Nowadays it's a little different. You can spend,
you just throw them in a file. You just throw them in a file.
You just throw them in a file. It's easy now. Back then it wasn't so easy to do. Yeah, man, I recorded 18 songs and I'm only using 12. All the rest of that, just throw it aside and maybe later on I could really, and that's kind of what it is nowadays. But back then, no, you recorded that shit, you used it. Like, I gotta use it. We using it. Whatever we doing, we using. But like beats and stuff like that, I think I do have like older beats and different things like that, and you know, off of ADAT tapes and all that crazy nonsense, man. Those times, everything, it was just so fun to me. It was just so raw. When you kind of look back on it and you're like, man, it was some of the most fun times I had recording and just hanging out and just putting things together. Because again, everything was so raw. It was just so raw. It really, it doesn't have the life that it has now. So everything was so raw. It was so young back then. Oh man,
you guys at the time did not know you were writing underground history. And those days would later become the things that, you know, guys like me argue on the internet for hours about.
Right.
In 1996, you released Exposed, and that was kind of at the tail end of the initial House of Krazees run. What brought you to finally put out a solo project as the R.O.C?
Because initially, you know, before I was supposed to do a solo project anyway. So that had kind of been stuff that I kind of had, and for me, you know, anyway. And it got to that point to where it was about that time for me to release R.O.C. And that's around the time also that what do we have? 4 or 5 HOK records. So it was about that time for me to kind of release R.O.C. So what was supposed to happen is, you know, we're going to do R.O.C. and then, you know, a Mr. Bones thing. And then we're going to have a hectic thing. You know, we're going to kind of go about it that way. And then we're going to eventually get back around to bringing back the HOK thing. HOK, of course, never came back. But, you know, we're going to get kind of back around to doing the HOK thing eventually. But a lot of that stuff I had exposed. It was just stuff that I had worked on, stuff that I had, stuff that I was going to release. Why 96? Why that time was right, I had no idea. I don't even know. I don't even remember. And then, yeah, 97, I think that was the last HOK. I think that was the Rewind remix. So that was the last HOK stint.
In 97, Paul and Jamie left to form Twisted
Yeah,
and to
right.
join Psychopathic Records.
Yeah.
And that kind of left you with an incomplete HOK record that you completed with scraps.
Well, no. That was brand new that I created with scraps.
Okay.
That was brand new.
Okay.
Brand new. And
what led you to decide to replace the 2 outgoing members with scraps and continue the HOK name and not do something brand new? Because HALFBREED wasn't around yet.
No, HALFBREED wasn't around. Yet. Nope, HALFBREED wasn't around yet. And they actually replaced themselves because Jamie and Paul decided to go do Twisted. It wasn't me. So they decided to go do Twisted. They just needed something different. Can't fuck with R.O.C. no more. We need something different. So they went and started doing their own thing. And they, actually, when they were doing that, Scraps was actually supposed to be in a group with Blaze. Them two were in a group. But Blaze went along with Twisted. Scraps was in limbo. Hey, why don't me and you get together and do something? Great. What are we going to call it? Well, I don't know. We'll figure out a name. Now, the guy who was investing in us at the time, investing in me, he said, look, either you do HOK or you do nothing. It was like, okay, I'll make you a deal. We do this last HOK EP, because it wasn't a full length the night they came home. It was an EP. After that, we changed the name. We change the name. We do something totally different. I don't want to do that. For me, and I've always said this, it's bigger than just rap. And I know for a lot of people it's not, because that is life. That's how they eat and things like that. And I get that. But for me, towards Jamie and Paul, it was bigger than just them leaving to go do their own thing musically. It was bigger than that, because we supposed to be crew, we friends. Again, it's all of us. We one maker, we all do. That's just, again, that's my mentals. That's just how Brian thinks. I wanted to change the name, and it's like you having a girlfriend. You break up with her. Y'all break up. Why you want to go turn around and get somebody that's just like her, looks like her, acts like her? That, you know, you don't want to do that. That's how I felt about House of Krazees' name. I don't want to do that. I already had this relationship. We did this. It'd be, to me, it's disrespectful to me to even do House of Krazees, and disrespectful to them to do House of Krazees, and disrespectful to fans who bought into House of Krazees. Now you got it just you and some other guy. Like, what? You know, after the fact, you know, do the project, and you're like, fuck, did I even do this?
You think Walt was pushing that fucking subject because he knew that House of Krazees he could bank?
There you go.
People weren't familiar with the situation that 2 of the members had left.
Yep. And that's
he could still know he would sell records.
Right. And that's it. Let's change the name. Let's do something different. Let's do something brand spanking new. But again, he didn't want to. That fell apart. Along came a couple of other my partners, MCs, and Walt says, Brian, I got this much money. I'll put this much up, but I need another House of Krazees project. No,
Is this the house? Did you
And that's the
meet him
house.
halfway? You met
That's
him
what,
halfway and said you aren't going to get House of Crazies. I'll give
right,
you the house.
the house. So
See,
basically,
that's
that's
where I
why I
was
cut
going.
that off. You know, I cut that part off. I was like, no, it's the house. I'll meet you halfway. So if we don't end up changing the name ever, it'll be just the house. The spelling will be different, HOUSE. You know, it'll be kind of the whole different thing. It was one of them situations to where, you know, okay, we did it, the project, Isopromatum project, and this is just not it for me. I'm just not, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's when it got to the point to where, you know, you got half breed and things like that. It's just like, okay, I gotta go, Walt, split, do my own thing, took on an extra job, hustled. You know, I should have did that in the first place. Take on a different job, man, change the name, do something totally different, get away from House of Crazies. Little did I know, and I didn't quite understand it back then, I couldn't get away from House of Crazies because House of Crazies was me. I was House of Crazies. It showed in the music production I always did. It was me. So I was like almost always running from myself. You know, it's like you're R.O.C. You do all the production. So anything you have is likely going to sound kind of HOK-ish.
But
Because
it never
fuck you
quite got
are.
there, did it? It never quite got there because
Right.
part of the HOK experience is that relationship, that
Mm-hmm.
terrifying triad, those three
Yeah.
Horcruxes. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's really
Yeah.
nice to see you in hindsight being able to look at this because during that time frame, even though you've said in previous interviews there was no actual tension, on the surface there definitely appeared to be some. During that
Yes,
time was when
absolutely.
Jamie and Paul borrowed Murder, Murder, Murder from you
Right. Exactly.
at the
Right.
time. I mean, were you doing anything to try to convince people that everything was kosher? Because at the time,
Right.
people were seeing you go forward with HOK, sans them, and then them
Mm-hmm.
doing things to you like the murder, murder, murder incident.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's the thing. And for me, it was always, I don't know. And again, you know, you don't want to you don't want to push off anybody else's feelings or how they may feel about something and things like that. But for me, it just was never that crazy. It was never that. It was never that nuts, man. It's even like now with everything going on with ICP and Psychopathic and Majik Ninja. I don't know, man. I never look at. I don't. You know, people want you to be like, well, yeah, well, fuck ICP, and then, why would I do that, man? Like that's just dumb. I even told Blaze. I was talking to Blaze. What the last show when we were at Worcester.
The
I was
Palladium, yep.
talking to Blaze. We were out in Worcester. I was telling Blaze. I said, Blaze, even way back, Blaze, when we was all wasn't that cool. I ain't run around screaming on y'all name, man. Fuck
Yeah,
Twisted and
nah,
fuck
nobody
Blaze.
wastes
I just
energy like
didn't do
that.
that. Why?
Why the
Because
fuck are
I'ma
you gonna
see
waste
you.
energy like that?
Right, I'ma see you. Why would I disrespect you like that? But not only that, why would I disrespect myself like that? It's like it's not that serious, man. It's not that serious. I don't want no harm to come to Joe or Joey and take them away from their kids or their wife or fans and stuff like that. That's just no. We don't want to do that. Don't nobody want to do that. It's just like that's just dumb. That's just dumb. For what? I already got a short lifespan as it is on this fucking planet. What am I ain't gonna run around beefing with people, yelling in the phone screens and fuck you, bitch, you ain't shit. And like, man, come on. I ain't got time for that. I just want to just hang out. I want to make cool music. you know, people who smoke, y'all can smoke. People who drink get to drink on, and everybody just relax, man. And that's kind of always from day one how I always was. Even when they dipped, it hurt. It hurt because it hurt more because Jamie and Paul, again, they were beyond music. Them was my brothers. Them was like my family. We were kids. So that hurt more. You know, it hurt more. So for me, it was more, you know, being hurt. It wasn't, you know, I didn't have any anger like, "Grr." It was just more hurt. Like, damn. They're my homies. Even if we don't do no music, even if they decide today, well, R.O.C, we appreciate the album, B. You know we love you, but we going in a different direction. So y'all, it won't be another R.O.C Zodiac project, none of that. That's fine. I would have no problem with that. So if
Possible.
they say that, it's great. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, but make sure you come through next week because we barbecuing for my daughter's birthday or this, that, great. I'm there. that's my relationship with Jamie and Paul. I do have a professional relationship with them too. I understand that. But beyond all that, it is a personal relationship between us as friends, as brothers, man. And it's, you know, and Blaze as well. A lot of those guys, George and Mike Winninger, a lot of them guys, man, Phil, a lot of those guys around there, I consider them a little closer than just being, you know, just being
Co-workers,
co-workers
labelmates.
and stuff, man. It's different. It's different, and that's kind of how I like my relationship to be with people. It's music is fine, man, but like, you know, you should get to kind of know people a little bit sometime too, you know, because you might like what you like beyond their music, you know, or you may find out this dude is an asshole beyond the music. The music is dope, but he an asshole. You may find that out
I
about
find that that's more the case than the other way around. But there are a couple people out there who I
right,
mean, Kung Fu Vampire. Me and him have had a long history of me not liking
right.
his music, but me and him personally are on great terms. And his
A
music
great,
now,
there you
I'm
go.
vibing with his music now. You know what I mean?
It helps. People don't understand when you have anything, be it, I don't care who it is, your mom, dad, brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, friends, best friends, fans, whatever. If you feed them constant hate, you have to understand what you're watering, what you're feeding is what you're gonna kind of get back, man.
You reap what you
People
sow.
don't understand that.
Exactly. If you plant
People don't get that.
negativity, you're going to get negative plants up out of the
That's
ground.
it, man. And that's all you're gonna get. That's all you go get. You just go get constant negativity, you know. But if you kind of, you know, you water a little bit, you know, you give a little love, things like that. And again, you may find common interests beyond music. I don't dig your music, R.O.C., but you a good dude. So you may find yourself one day hear something you like, I mean, well damn. I mean, your music is all right, my dude. You pretty good. My brother listens to nothing but hood shit. That's it. He's just straight up D-boy. My brother is that way. My brother don't get into none of our music. Mine or Mr. YUG, he don't get into none of that. Twist this, none of that stuff. He don't do none of that. You know, this last album of mine, he kind of heard something and he called me the other day. Bro, I've been listening to this new album, bro. I'm telling you, nigga, this shit is good. I'm like, oh, thanks, bro. No, bro, I'm telling you, nigga, this album is dope. I fucks with you, bro. I'm telling you, I fucks with you.
You got the
I'm
street
like,
code
thank
sign.
you.
You finally got that street code sign, but that's
Right,
because you kept,
exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
we've had a couple of interactions, you know, talking to you here, and it was something I always heard about you throughout the years is your happiness as a person was never tied to your success in the music business. That your happiness as a person
No,
is tied to your family, to
it
your relationships
is.
with your friends, and you're validating that with your statements right now.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing. I love doing music because again, it gets me to do things like this. Me and you knowing each other beyond just doing this interview, us knowing
Yeah,
each other and things like that, and getting to know people and different things like that. Music kind of opens that door for you, and it's great. But that's me. I love my family, man. My wife, my kids, my mom, brothers, all the juggalos, different fans, and you know, it just and different people I collab with. It's great to have those things because I guess I've always kind of had an understanding that nothing and none of this lasts long. So try to enjoy, man. I'm telling you, because next thing you know, hey, man, you know, cats don't enjoy things, and you could be dead at 40 whatever from a heart attack. So you just ran around bitching mostly your whole life, most of your whole life. Then you just turn around and had a heart attack. Damn, your life to me, I would tell you your life sucked because you were an asshole all the way through. You're dead, and then what? I try to enjoy that and hopefully get other people to enjoy some shit too, you know, because you gotta think of things in a grand scheme. You gotta blink of an eye, even if you live till you 80. Do you know how short of a span of time that is? Oh my God, that's so short of a span of time. So embrace shit. Just everybody, just relax and just that's me, just family, man, friends, kind of hanging out and just. Of course, people do shit that's gonna piss you off, your family and things like that. Like YUG, he lucky. it wasn't nothing important on the damn
Nah.
HOK tapes, you know, but it's just people do shit and you get mad at them. Oh, you ain't shit, this, that, this, and fuck you and this and that. But eventually things, you know, come back. Things like kind of shit's kind of like rubber bands, man. It just tick and that shit'll come back. Same thing with all this nonsense that's going on and blah, and you guys and this and that. I'm sure eventually things will end up.
It comes in cycles.
It does.
So after the House
Yep.
project ran its course, you separated all your business ties with Late Night Entertainment and the CEO, Walter Stepanenko. Apparently you had problems similar to Jamie, but this led you to create your own independent label, Virus Independent. Who were the original bodies in there? Because I'm hearing Prozac and Bedlam. I'm hearing YUG. I'm hearing Scraps.
Mhm.
Who were the initial controlling body of Virus Independent?
Yeah, the controller, it was Scraps and myself. We formed Virus Independent, and then we kind of brought on Bedlam and my brother and Freeze, and we kind of brought all those cats on afterwards. But me and him kind of started the label, you know, again with our own money and just needed something new, something different. So, you know, it was kind of me and him. And again, for me, it's always nice to have somebody to just kind of bounce ideas off of, just to vibe with, just to kick it with, just to vibe with. And again, it's just you just bouncing shit off each other. It grows. That's what I like. I love vibing with people because then you can just kind of bounce shit off people. You know, it's a cool thing. But it was me and him. Me and him were the controlling, you know, bodies in Virus Independent.
Now, what triggered you going that route as opposed to maybe shopping another deal or trying to do a project for another company the way you had prior to that?
I thought that me and him, when we did the House of Krazees, the last House of Krazees project, and I knew that we could do something cooler, do something better, instead of doing my own thing or whatever. I knew we can come up with something cooler, something better, and I knew that's something that we had to kind of do on our own as a group so we can control what we wanted to do and control a lot of the direction that we wanted Half-Breed to go, instead of us taking it to someone and having them, you know, fork the money and then basically kind of holding you hostage with money saying, well, look, we just got to go this way or you don't get nothing. That way we only got a couple of dollars to put into it, but it's our couple of dollars. You know what I mean? So that's what kind of made it the way that it was. Just let's just do it independent. Virus Independent. It's just our couple of dollars from these 9 to 5s we working, and this is going to do it. And that's why we chose that route, because it's independent. It was just us doing it, you know.
And Half-Breed was the first release on Virus with Serial
Yeah.
Killers in '99.
Yeah.
How did you get hooked up with Brother Lynch Hung? For those who don't know, Half-Breed's second release was released via Sickmade, at least in a distributor standpoint.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it was through, I want to say something that they saw, and they ended up contacting us, and we ended up talking.
So you were familiar? I mean, were you familiar with Brother Lynch at the time? I mean,
Oh,
that's about the
absolutely.
time I had become
Absolutely.
familiar with Brother Lynch.
Yeah. Yeah. I was definitely
90s.
familiar with Lynch. Yeah. Definitely familiar with Lynch.
But so he basically had heard that first Half-Breed record
Right.
and said, I want them. It was
And
that much
right, and then he and his partner ended up contacting us, and then that's kind of when everything just kind of fell from there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's do this, and you know we're going. Okay, let's distribute the. We'll put it out. We'll distribute the record and things like that. So, and that's kind of how that whole thing went.
All right, so you got the deal. You're being distributed Half-Breed through Sickmade with Brother Lynch Hung. He's helping you get nationwide notice. Are you touring as Half-Breed?
No major tours. We always did a lot of stuff with Esham, Nodis, them cats. So we do kind of spot shows, running around with them. We did do a couple of string of shows ourselves locally, you know, Ohio.
You guys released a third project as Half-Breed called Rage of the Plague in 2001. And by then, the duo of you and Scraps had kind of turned into a trio with Mr. Freeze. And you guys transitioned into Level Jumpers. Now, you've made several statements about your Level Jumpers time, the switch in subgenre, essentially, the move towards more standard underground hip-hop. Was this decision based anyway in trying to get past that horrorcore glass ceiling that kind of existed kind of in the way RZA and Prince Paul did with Gravediggers, where they transitioned into, you know, Wu-Tang and then as a solo artist respectively to kind of reach more of a higher plateau?
For me, I wanted the transition, especially because for me, the music, it was all too one directional. Like I needed it to be more multi directional. And for what we were doing, it wasn't multi-directional enough for me. Like I wanted it to be, it's almost to me like how I feel about like digital voodoo. You know, yeah, you do got a little bit of kind of that horrorcore side, but like a lot of that stuff is not that. That's what I've always envisioned my music being. It has so many different layers. When Level Jumpers came along, it was kind of, for me, it was too, again, one way, because it was so hip hop. It was so hip hop. It was good. Don't get me wrong. I liked it. It was just too much one direction for me.
Was your desire to be so multifaceted, multidimensional what led you to change your name at one point to Soul 46 and release another solo project by the name of Wormholes? Is crazy fucking underrated in my opinion. And if you got any hard copies sitting around, the fucking shit's going for $70 online. It's going for $70 on fucking Amazon.
Crazy. Wow.
So if you got any hard copies laying around in the garage, or Mom Duke's got any, maybe you can get yourself a new Nintendo or something.
But yeah, and that's what it was. Again, I understand you can't be and do every damn thing. That's understandable. But music to me, it should be kind of a roller coaster ride, man, because you kind of always go through different emotions and different times and different feels. I would never want my albums or anything that I do to sound like the first song you listen to. Oh, okay, that's dope. And you get to the album and you like, that's dope. Hit the next song. And you like, well, no, that was it. Okay. And it all just sounded the same. Just one continuous fucking song. It's like, who does that? That shit sucks to me. Like, no, your shit should not sound like one continuous song. It should have some depth to it. It should have some variety to it. You know, take you just through different rides and things. That's how I've always felt about music. Because again, growing up, listening to so many different genres of music, get into all those different things, you know. So, you know, it was that's why the name changed, and then going into Level Jumpers, and then back to this or back to that, or you're doing, it's just so much, you know. Most people may think of it as, man, you don't know what it is you want to do. You don't feel the same way, so you want to kind of, you know, you put that into your music, into production, and into your music. It's like Tupac, you know, talking about Dear Mama, and then all of a sudden, I hit him up. You like, oh man, how you gonna be rapping about that? Right, and you like, man, how you gonna be doing that? Because
Brenda got a berry. The same MC shouldn't be able to write Brenda's Got a Baby and him up. But you know what? That is the duality of man. That's the duality. The duality and multifaceted nature of man.
That's what it is, man. That's exactly what it is. T.I. came out with a new album.
Oh, his shows, his whole demographic is different now. It's all,
oh my God,
40
oh my God, yeah, its whole demographic is changed.
It's Loverfest, you know.
And it's like, but again, what do you want people to do? People, oh man, because it's understandable. Reason why nobody likes change. That's me. I like A, B, C to go in that order. Now, if you, Chuck, say, well, no, I'm going to throw C first, and then we're going to go with A and then B. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. That's how, but that's just, it's life. And it's hard for people to adapt to change, and people changing, and it's got to be a reason. You know, it's got to be some crazy reason why. But it's like, well, no, like you said, it's just man themselves, men, humans, you know, it's just what you do, man. You're always kind of, you know, and I like to put that out in the music that I do. So it's important.
So in 2002, Lever Jumpers and Virus both ran their course. And over the next 3 years, between 2003 2006, you had your most productive time as a solo artist, releasing bits and pieces in 04, I'm Here in 05, and Oh Hell No in 06. During this time, you also reconnected with Jamie and Paul.
Actually, it was them. They contacted me. Hey, man, come on through. Let's talk. Of course, for me, it was easy. Because to me, I never had it in my brain that there was ever anything wrong. What in the
That there was an actual problem. It was just a separation. It was
yes,
just a
it was
disconnection.
crazy. So, you get there, you talk, and everything was just normal. It was like I never left the fold. That's what it was like. It was like I never left. Everything was just kosher. There was no awkwardness, and it's like I never left. It was just like, hey, yeah, hell yeah, B. What up, B? Everything was just regular. So that's kind of, like you said, those are my most productive, and that's when I kind of linked back up with them.
Doing a lot of you were doing freelance work for Psychopathic as well at the
Yeah.
time, and like most of your production, it goes unlauded the way it should be. What are some of the tracks during that period of time that you threw some production on? Because I had a hard time finding liner notes for any of that shit.
It varies, and I know there's a few things here and there that I had put different things on. I can't tell you off the top. I really don't remember.
But you were doing a lot. You were doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff there, besides just those features. Because once you came back into the fold, your features were hitting the scene like fucking lava. People were like, "Who the fuck is this guy out of no place?"
And that's what it was. It was, kind of getting back into the fold of things. Just kind of getting back into the kind of more of the swing of things. Sitting in with ICP when they did Tempest, because I sat in with that and vibed out with them on like the Tempest, kind of getting in, man, and just kind of getting in there, just doing those things, reacclimating myself to kind of being around Psychopathic.
Now, by 2007, you were back into the fold enough to, at that point, you were touring as Blaze's hype man.
Yeah, man, I'll do it, which of course was it was a little weird. Like, well, how you gonna be my hype man, motherfucker? You R.O.C. R.O.C. don't supposed.
Your energy in those days, your energy was overwhelming as a hype man. You were the pinnacle of energy on stage behind him, and it was a nice juxtaposition.
And that's what I tried to take it as. Like, I tried to take it as a, like, Blaze is out here. We gotta rep Blaze. We gotta have like crazy mad energy. So it's like, I'm going to be that crazy mad energy guy. And for me,
and I remember you going as far as coming out with those crazy Oakleys that came up over, what I'm saying, and looked like fucking goggles. Nobody had those at the time.
Still got them.
Bro, you still got them?
All 4 pairs, still got them.
Oh, you had 4 rotational pairs for tour?
Yep. Had 4 pair. But yeah,
those fucking things weren't cheap either. Those weren't cheap either. They were Oakleys, and there was a lot of plastic.
Yeah, weren't cheap. But yeah, and just it was just that doing the Blaze hype thing. It was just energy. I needed to do that. I needed to bring that energy. I needed to do that. And again, for me, it's easy because there's somebody else up here. So it's like basically we're just vibing off each other. That's all it is. I'm up here with one of my homies. I'm like, man, hell yeah, y'all. This is great. It's for me, I'm just like, hey, this is nothing, so that was fun doing that. That was real fun doing that.
That period of time when you were hyping for Blaze and you're doing production work for the Hatchet, did you consider this you trying to work towards a Psychopathic deal?
No.
Was that what your goal was?
No, because I knew what I had to really do. It's honestly, I could have went and talked to Billy or Joe and been like, hey guys, I want to put out a record. And I'm sure, 1,000% sure, they would have been like, okay. So it's not like it was me trying to, I could have went to them. I could have went to them anytime and been like, yo, I want to put out a record.
In 2008, that finally happened. Now, they signed you to what they were calling at the time the development subsection of Psychopathic, Hatchet House.
Right.
Why was that decision made instead of making you an artist on the main label, which is what everybody had expected? I
didn't really care enough, I think. And I think they kind of sensed that, like, this motherfucker don't really care where he at. He just, I don't know if their brain thinking like that, but my brain was like, should it matter? Even if Joe and them and Joey and Billy and them said, R.O.C. ain't even gonna be on no label, y'all, but this shit is dope. Should it matter to people who want to go out and purchase it? Because it has a Hatchet guy. And that's how I always looked at it. So that's why I never went to them like, I need a record deal. Like, why? If you like my shit and I understand it can get out more to the masses through them, but if it's good, y'all. It's good. So you telling me I'm only good if I'm on shady records, but I'm no good if I'm not? You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I've always viewed things. If somebody is dope, they're dope. If somebody is dope, they're dope. ICP does not need the hatchet guy for them to be ICP.
Exactly.
They're ICP. It doesn't matter about the hatchet guy. Hatchet guy is cool. You know, the hatchet man is cool, but again, they don't need that to be that. And that's kind of how I always looked at it. So they approached me and said, hey, you know, what about you doing something? And yeah. And at that time, I was going through a whole bunch of shit personally.
We're gonna get that stuff in a second because you know you released Welcome to the Dark Side. Within the first fucking 20 seconds of that CD, I believe it's Paul or Jamie rather in his little voice refer to you
Jamie.
as they call the boy the rubber ball because he always bounces back with you when you kick him. Now, with your prior features in history, it was widely anticipated and it seemed that the kicking that you were receiving was about to be over.
Right.
Did you seem like they embraced you as much as you deserved at that point?
Yeah, definitely, man. They, you know, Twisted did, so did, you know, ICP, Psychopathic, they did too. You know, everybody did. Everybody embraced me. Like, it's like everybody always embraced me. Only person never embraced me was always me. Like, no one could stop my success or anything. It was always me. Again, that takes us all the way back to our other part of the conversation with the ego thing. I didn't really care much, man. It's like, I care, y'all, but it's like, man, I just do music. That's fine with me. I just do production and never be known. Just sit up behind the boards and just, you know, bang out tracks and twist knobs, and it's kosher with me. You know, my head just,
because I mean a lot of the fam and a lot of the fans in 2009, you publicly announced, you know, your retirement. You left Hatchet House and you put yourself into self-imposed artistic and musical exile for 3 fucking years. And a lot of fans took that as a, did we not support him enough? So basically what you're telling me is this was Brian. Style. This was not the fans. This was not the way Dark Side was received. Because Dark Side was a fantastic record. And you know, I never heard anybody shit talking at all, to be honest.
No, me neither. And that's it. It was so much going on at the home front, family wise, and going through separation and divorce, dabbling in Brian's world as far as like it goes that personal to where it's children and things like that. All bets are off on anything else. I shut everything down for my babies.
You know, speaking to you, we've talked about how important your family is. In 2009, when you put out that video, I believe it was on fucking MySpace, that you were leaving the game. Did you intend to be gone forever?
No.
Did you put R.O.C. to bed?
I did. I did. I did intend to say, which again, you know, you hindsight, you probably could have worded different. I'm taking a break. I'll be back later. You could have said that, but for me,
so hiatus would have been a much better word at the time than retirement.
There you go. That would have been a much better word at the time.
R.O.C. revisionist history. He never retired. He took a hiatus because that's exactly what the fuck it was. What did you do during those 3 years? Were you completely done with music?
I wanted to be. I wanted to be completely done with music. I didn't really want. I was just like, man, you know what? I'm done. But it's just like, you know, you done, and you know, you look over, and then the drum there. I ain't doing it. You reach over and tap a couple buttons, and I ain't doing it. You tap a couple more buttons, and keyboard staring at you. You hit a couple keys, like I ain't doing it. And then you start, I might make this one beat, and after that, I ain't doing nothing else. So I never like was like it was like you always calling you. It's always calling. Come on, man, touch, man. You know you want to touch, man. Come on, go ahead. Just one key. Just push one key. You know, so
like the pipe did to Pookie, straight up.
Like the pipe did to Pookie. It's calling me, and it just always calls you. So you end up, you know, so throughout the years, I would, you know, messing with a little music here, messing with a little music there. So it was always there, man. It never left. It never left.
In 2012, out of no place in a motherfucking puff of smoke. Here comes Knuckle Up from Prozac's Nocturnal EP. Now, you had quite the history of Prozac from the days on Virus, I'm sure. And at that point, Prozac had since moved on to both the successful Project Deadman career and then into a deal with Tech Nine Strange Music. Did Prozac personally bring you back into the fold? Did he call you? Did he send you something that he couldn't live without a verse from you on?
Yeah, Prozac is just one of them guys, man, that's just, for me, you know, him and things like that. For me and him, it goes beyond music. It's way beyond music. That's like my brother. Prozac is, you know, that's my brother. Because again, me and his relationship, it goes well beyond music. And yeah, he came and was like, "Yo, what's up? You know, come on, what's up? Come on." And it was like
just egging his friend on. Just
there you go. Like, okay.
Did you intend for that to be a return? Because shortly after that, you participated in the Cypher 4. And that was released in October of 2012. Was this all part of a grand scheme comeback on your part?
I wish. I need to learn to grand scheme more, because shit just falls and it's just like, you're like, yeah. And like, once, you know, you hear it back, you want to be like, yeah. So that was my grand scheme. So I meant to do that. You didn't mean to do none of that shit. You was just kind of just B&B. You was just doing your thing. And it just kind of all just kind of lined up and kind of fell that way, you know, the project thing. And then doing the, you know, the psychopathic, the Cypher thing and things like that. It just kind of all fell into place like that, I guess, you know.
Now, your actual status during that time in 2012 was up for much debate and conjecture. Here's just a direct question, because I'm sure a lot of heads out there listening think this. Were you ever a signed artist on Psychopathic Records, even for one day? Because from all purposes, it seems like it happened. And I know that there are articles on the internet and your Wikipedia both say that in 2012, you were a signed Psychopathic Records artist. Is that true?
No, I wasn't. I was the only guy. I never signed with Psychopathic. I never signed with Psychopathic. That
you just wore a jersey or toured with whomever?
Because I always rep them, because again, man, it's like I've known, you know, Joe Young dudes for like 20-some years, and they built such a great thing, man. So it was just like I was just kind of always rep them. I've always like repped, you know, Psychopathic and Twisted, but again, and Twisted and those guys and Blazing them. But I never went to like Joe and said, "Yo, here's the thing. I want a deal. I want to put out a record," because I'm sure if I went to them, they would have. Yes, absolutely.
And that's that lack of ego. That's that lack of ego. And as much as it is a positive as far as your personality,
it's a negative.
It's also a little bit of a negative. It's also a little bit of a detriment.
Again, I have family and friends tell me that it can, and it does. It hinders me a lot, and I know it does. It does. It hinders me a lot. It does hold me back from a lot of other things that could have happened and a lot of things that could happen, and it does hold me back a lot. And it's just that lack of ego. Not that I don't care, but I don't.
There's certainly the lack of ego is not a regret,
right.
And that's the last thing I hear in your voice is, you know, you've had your missteps and you are familiar with what those missteps are, but you don't regret a single goddamn step of your journey, and that shows exactly what type of man you are. I mean, like I said, you did that Cypher 4 in 2012, and then literally 2 months to the day, they were leaving the Hatchet, and with you and reportedly Blaze leaving right after. But as you just explained, you didn't have anything to fucking leave from.
No, and that's the thing. I was the only guy, never had nothing to leave from. I always like rep Psychopathic, and again, they always, you know, had me do little things here and there. But I never was ever a Psychopathic.
And I'm sure somebody out there is gonna see this, and his brain's gonna fucking explode, because that is definitely something I know. I know that the facade that you were a signed artist was there, whether it was intentional or not. And that facade sold that fucking idea. It really sold that fucking idea that you were a signed artist.
Right.
But I'm really glad you cleared that up.
I never was. You know, I never was. And you know, but were all those guys my people? Abso-fucking-lutely. And I repped them. They were my people. Yes. Them are my guys, man. You know, so yeah,
So
and
if someone says fuck all previous psychopathic artists that are now on Majik Ninja, you don't apply to that list.
right. Hey, so if you say that, I don't apply. Right.
I don't
Exactly.
apply. I do not. I do not resemble that remark.
And technically, you're right. Technically, you're right. But see, I would say no. I fall into that category because again,
Because in your
that
heart
is part of me. Exactly. I'm a part of, you know, fuck people who don't like juggalos and all that. That's what I am. I am part of that, and that is part of me. And you know, there's no other way around that. It's just is what it is. We help plant the seeds to what people, some may refer to as juggalos today. There was no juggalos back then. There was none of that. There was none of that way back then. We were planting seeds, you know. So yeah, I'm a part of that. I'll always be a part of all that circuit of everything, man. It's just, it is what it is, you know. And I don't run from it. I embrace it. I love the fact that I helped, you know, create something. I was a smidge part of that. You know, it's awesome. You know.
Oh, you'd be up for like a co-star Emmy for sure. You're not
Right,
you're
there
not
you
a bit
go.
player in this story by any means. You were not a bit player in the story by any means. You were like the bad boy who came into town for a couple of weeks and then leaves for a couple of episodes and then he comes
Right.
back and everybody
Yeah.
loves it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
you know, since 2012, you've been instrumental in the rise of Majik Ninja Entertainment. In 2014, when the label was announced, you were announced as one of the first 2 Majik Ninjas joining the dojo. Then in May 2016, you released the long-awaited Zodiac imprint album, Ride the Stars.
Yeah.
Print concept first developed and talked about during that time period in 2007 when you were touring with Blaze. And who sat down and said, fuck it, Zodiac imprint?
That part I don't remember. That's like, I don't even remember. It had to be, and the only reason why I say this because it's always him. I would say it had to be Jamie, because that motherfucker's brain always, it had to be his ass, because he's always something. So I would say it had to be Jamie. And yeah, me and Blaze, you know, doing a group thing, because even, you know, while, you know, him touring and me hyping for him, just the dynamic of the both of us. What the fuck would that sound like together? That's weird. You know, Blaze, your dead homie, and the R.O.C. That's really weird. You know, so yeah, basically Zodiac imprint was born.
And Zodiac was one of those long promised things that seemed to always be on the horizon. And it was great when it finally came out. Now, you did something extremely unique and something very seldom done, especially in hip hop music. And it must be nerve wracking to you that you sent was what essentially was a completed album's worth of vocals that you had already produced and knew what it could sound like to someone else to basically do a remix album, and you were going to release them concurrently. As a producer and knowing what that album, you already had a completed album in your hands right before it went to 7.
Yeah.
And so you knew what it could sound like. You knew what it could fucking sound like. As a as a producer, beat man, artist, how nerve-wracking was it waiting for those stems to come back from 7?
Yeah, it was crazy because you're like, yeah, man, you're because like you said, you already got it, you know already. So you're like, oh man,
like it's one thing if you didn't know, but you knew, you had already worked it,
right? And it's not like you're worried about getting something back shitty. It's 7. You're good.
Of course.
You're good.
Of course.
That part you're not worried about, but you're just like, oh man, what's this gonna sound like? Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Now, what triggered this? What triggered this from you guys? Was this something that you just decided you wanted to do this interesting concept? Because it's really interesting. It was something that
different. Yeah.
When I heard R.O.C. version, I didn't know exactly what the hell that fucking meant even. And then that's when I got familiar with your production credits. And I was like, well, obviously, then he would be fucking producing. So what triggered the decision to go out to somebody like 7 and let him give you his vision as well?
I initially was like, well, yeah, okay. We were sitting on that material for a couple years, me and Blaze. So it's just chilling. It was just sitting. George is the one who came up and said, okay, man, what do you think about putting Zodiac out. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? Like, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. He's like, I think we should put it out. I think we should. I think we should put it out. And me, I'll just being me, just iffy, and I don't know. Well, maybe. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, maybe. Okay, we could put it out. And then he came to me and was like, hey, well, what if we do the vocals and send the vocals to 7, and then we can have this version and that version? And I was just like, I was like, okay. And then it was just like, yeah. And then, yeah, so I got all the vocals situated and, yeah, shot it to Michael. And it was just like, wow, man. Wow. That's a pretty cool thing to do. You got 2 versions, but like production on it. And the way it flows is totally different. It seems like 2 totally different. I love it. It's just crazy. It was nice.
Yeah, it must have been nice. I mean, Seven is the type of producer that you can't, you not only trust that dude, that's
Right.
someone you can bank on. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That is someone whose product is never bad. In 2016, you finally released a bit of solo product on Majik Ninja through the fucking Prelude at Gathering 16, which was part of a bunch of releases that weekend. And then you announced Digital Voodoo, which was going to be your first full length since you've been signed to Majik Ninja.
Yeah.
You're a patient motherfucker. Let me tell you, you are one patient fucking dude. Because at this point, we're dealing with Twisted's been gone 4 years. It's been at least that long since your last solo.
Yeah.
Did you believe in the Majik Ninja vision? You said you're not a big picture guy, but did you believe in the vision so that when they told you, look, we're sitting on this until this date, that you just knew to say, let's do it?
Again, for me, I knew I was going to do a solo record eventually, but for me, again, it was just kind of one of those, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. But in, those certain parts of my brain, it's like, man, it's fine. Nobody, like, you'll be all right. Just relax. We got the Zodiac thing, and, hopefully one of these okay again. That's kind of where my, thought process was. Really wasn't on R.O.C much and the album and things like that. But then that time started ticking to the point to where, okay, now it's going to be your turn, and this is what we're looking at, and we're going to get you some tracks from other producers. It was just like, whoa, okay, I guess it's my time to start, kind of getting this digital voodoo thing together. Like
putting Brian first.
Shit.
Putting Brian first.
Putting Brian first. Like, oh man. I mean, okay. So it was just at that point to where it's like, okay, now it's time for you. Yeah, now it's time for Brian. Now it's time for Brian. Brian's got to get it now, man. So it's like, oh God, okay. I'm ready.
Just shy of 2 weeks ago, you released Digital Voodoo. It was nationally released on April 14th. And like I mentioned at the beginning, you cracked the Billboard charts, number 9 top rap album, number 16 top independent, and 106 in the top 200. You didn't do that shit alone, though, did you? No. You have features. You have great features all over this project, running a stunning spectrum of artists, not just rappers.
Yeah, man.
Your MNE brethren, Gmo, Blaze, Boondocks, Lex the Hexmaster, and of course the duo Twisted, all made contribution. And of course you invited Juggalo regulars like Whitney Payton, Mastermind, Kung Fu Vampire, and Prozac to throw bars into your cauldron. Was there anyone that you wish could have made the album that perhaps due to time constraints or whatnot didn't make the album?
There was really one more cat, man, that I really, really wanted to actually do the project with me, but he couldn't, time restraints, things like that, and he was busy. That was Chris Calico. That's the only person.
Cali, baby.
Yeah, man. Oh man, I wanted Cali. I wanted him to do something, but he was working on Go at the time, which is absolutely fucking phenomenal record. Features, people ask, why so many features? Why so many features? And why not? Again, that's when you start falling into that realm of not just R.O.C. It's a whole little collective of people. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. I love the fact that there's so many different voices with mine, and everything's kind of like doing that mesh together thing. That is just, I love the fact that it's not just me. It's so many other different voices from so many other different areas. R.A. the Rugged Man.
Yeah. I was gonna say you didn't just go for the usual suspects on this one either, as some people
Right.
might have suspected. You kind of went for a more street influence, like you just said. You had Crustified Dibs, his fucking self, R.A. the Rugged Man. You had Conniva from D12. You had the Detroit No Fly Zone enforcer Trick on that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Now these heads may be new to your regular audience.
Right.
How important is it for you, especially right now and for our scene, that we branch out into these other hip-hop underground subgenres essentially and bridge these gaps and not strictly stay hardcore?
Yeah, and to me that is it is an essential, at least for me, it is an essential part of who I am. Like, again, these different, like you said, subcultures, these different areas of hip hop.
I don't even like subculture, because I mean we all transcend all of them, and I know a lot of juggalos transcend them here, but you do have different. You have your Vinnie Paz, Jedi Mind Tricks people. You have your juggalos. You have, you know, there's different. But we have to bridge these gaps because a lot of us do travel amongst these scenes and enjoy these different types of music.
Yeah, and that to me is very important so people know, which a lot of them do, like you said, they know there are these other different music scenes. And yes, I am into some of these other different music scenes. I'm into a lot more different music scenes. There's a lot of other features, of course, you know, you can't get because of, you know, maybe your status or money or things like that. But hey, who knows? Things may come together in due time. So you may hear some other collabs from me, and you're like, what the? I love the song, but what the fuck? What possessed you to? Why this person?
And it really all goes back to the origin of that, which was Run DMC Aerosmith, which was one of those things that if you saw
there you go.
If you were a fucking A&R, if you were an A&R in '83 and someone handed you a Post-it note and it said Run DMC X Aerosmith, I'm balling it up, putting it in the fucking trash, because you know what I'm saying? And now we know better.
Sam K, that's the guy. He's just got that. Let's be aware, no one's coming for you.
Almost like that problem. Yeah, almost.
Yeah,
that
he's
problem
got such
guy.
that. I don't know what. See, I don't know my tones, but he's got that such. Well, no one's coming for you. You better run. He's got such that high. Yeah, Sam K. He's local.
R&B must be one of your heavy influences. Just being from Detroit.
Yes, I do, and I like R&B. I do. I like a lot of R&B. And you know, Sam, he's here. He's local. Brittany, is on the one where I got with Twisted.
Okay,
that's Brittany. And she is phenomenal. Just the Disgusted song. Just turned out so good. So good. Me, Twisted, and Brittany Stoney. Man, I love that track. Good track.
Are there any bigger name singers that you would immediately throw a verse next to? Because like, I mean, songs like All I Need with Method Man and Mary J. Blige changed the face of the game.
Exactly. Right. And that's what I was gonna say.
I mean, anybody out there? I mean, Mary J, Faith Evans.
Ashanti,
what do you lean to?
You know, you're right. Mary J, Ashanti,
Keisha Cole.
Keisha Cole would be nice. Yeah, man, it's a lot. Like, I would even love. We're gonna bring it newer. Like, I would love to have, you know, if I did something, mixed it up somehow, we vibed out. Like, I would love to, like, The Weeknd. If The Weeknd would sing something on the track, because to me that motherfucker sounds like the new Michael Jackson. He sounds like Michael Jackson.
It's like silk and sandpaper, because your delivery is so rough and so rugged that it's a juxtaposition that creates beauty.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot of cats I would like to R&B wise that I would probably like to, you know, vibe with and, you know, maybe you know, collab with and do a track with. Definitely. Yeah, that's the definite.
No tour plans have been announced for you to promote this latest release, and we've already talked about you notoriously don't tour by yourself. Has any thought been given, because you've never headlined, correct?
No, I've never headlined a tour. I've thought about it, you know, and again, for me, I'm not a headlining. I don't really tour a lot, things like that, you know, a lot of that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely been talked about, especially to you know, promote this new release. If and when anything will happen, that's kind of in the in the label's hands on what and when and if anything will happen. One thing I do like doing, of course, I love doing that because I'm in and out. And that's just me. I'm just, hey, I'm here or I'm gone. You know, it's maybe some spot shows on the upcoming Psychomania tour. Possibly I may pop up in a couple of spots.
I'm sure we'll probably see you in the fall for the
You
fall
know,
tour.
yeah, things like that. So yeah, definitely I'll be out and about. I'm always out and about. So, you know, I'll be popping up here and there. But like as far as a full-fledged, you know, some R.O.C shit, I don't know about that. You know, I don't know about that. You know, who knows?
Boo,
Who know?
boo!
I
You're
know.
breaking people's hearts, man. You're
I
breaking
know.
people's hearts. How
Right.
much production are you responsible for these days?
Whatever I want to take on, I don't do a lot of production for the label or anything like that. A lot of my time is spent kind of for me right now is kind of honing my skill, kind of getting my craft down pat more.
Can
And
people get custom? Can we get custom ROC production if someone was to contact your management? Is that something that's even on the
yeah,
menu?
it's definitely possible. You know, yeah, they could contact, you know, management and things like that. A lot of my time is spent like more writing, trying to, you know, because writing, you know, me and a dead homie are about to start once he's situated tour wise on the Zodiac full length album. We kind of already got a lot of things in the works already. Once he gets back, then we're, you know, 100. Boom, we're just on it, you know, getting the Zodiac album recorded. So it's just a lot of writing and things like that.
Hopefully enjoying a little bit of this success and enjoying a little bit of it
Definitely.
as well for once. I know George, the other day on the Brunch and Bake, Paul said something about George bugging him about a possible HOK resurrection.
George is always bugging us
Now,
about HOK, and we will.
I know that the question of Sam Hain witch killers was already answered with an unequivocal no at one point. Now we've got the impending release of the Triple Threat album. We got the impending release of the Year of the Sword project. Are you guys going to fulfill that promise? Are you going to reunite the original triad of demons that were Hectic, Mr. Bones, and the R.O.C?
Definitely, it's been definitely talked about. And I don't mean just, yeah, man, what's up with HOK? Well, we maybe, I don't know. Anyway, next question. We have like literally sat and vibed out on it. Will anything ever see the light of day? I'm sure. I'm sure. The problem is when. That's the thing, because MNE is so busy right now.
And fans can be
unbelievably busy.
Yeah, fans can be a little bitchy about that shit. My homeboy Sean
Absolutely. Understandable.
My Sean Price used to say, fuck a fan, it'll come out when it comes out.
You know, but it's, and you're like, man, shut your ass up. You can wait. But you understand because I get it. You be wanting shit like, come on, man, give it to me, motherfucker, right now.
And to be honest, the ROC fans out there in the world are some of the most patient motherfuckers on earth, along with you as well. They are super patient. What comes now for Brian Jones, man? Are you here for the long haul? Is this you're here? Are you gonna ride ROC directly to a hole in the ground? You're here for good?
Yeah, definite. Until it's, you know, done. Until it's like it's done, which I'll still be around, of course, doing what I love, the production side of it. So I'll always be around. I may not be like, you know, rapping or, you know, things like that to where I'm visually seen, but I'll always, you know, you read them credits up, there that motherfucker is, you know, so I'll always be around. I'm definitely around for the long haul till it's my time, to my, you know, card is zip. Okay, that's it. He's out, you know, but I'm definitely around and looking forward to, you know, putting together another solo album, and we ain't gonna wait no 10 years. Won't be no damn 10 years this time. So that stuff keeps my brain busy too, thinking about things like that. It's like, okay, motherfucker, you just released this. Okay, you about to do the Zodiac thing, you're gonna do this. Okay, but I know you thinking of all that. What are you gonna do when the next time for the next solo project, and how we move at Majik Ninja and giving you music? It's like that shit's got to be on your brain today. You just dropped 2 weeks ago. Old news.
Oh,
What are
it's
you gonna do
chess.
next?
Magic Ninja is chess, not checkers. It looks like you
There
guys
you go.
are so many moves ahead.
Right.
Do you promise? Can you promise me? Can you promise the heads out there at large that if you need a break, you don't use the word retirement this time?
Retirement. Right. We don't use that
Hiatus.
word.
Hiatus.
Hiatus. Right. So that's
But
what it is.
we will
Smoke
not
break.
be we will not be breaking hearts out there in hip hop and
There you
underground
go.
fans by using the
Right.
fucking word retirement ever fucking
Retirement.
again.
No retirement. Yeah. No retirement.
Well, my man, it's been a long and tumultuous road, for you, a
Yes.
journey of peaks and valleys, triumphs and missteps through the deals
Yeah.
and the self-reliance you've shown throughout your entire 25-year career. Besides your obvious patience and lack of ego, what do you think the number one thing an aspiring artist can take from looking at your story overall?
I would say enjoy. That would be my word, man. Enjoy what it is you do. Even in those shitty times. I know it's hard to, but try to find some type of enjoyment. It'll help build you, and it'll help build the type of person you'll become later. It's just your character. Definitely, that's what I would say. I would like people to just look at, and take that away. Madrox stated in the intro of Welcome to the Dark Side, be that rubber ball.
They called
Always bounce back.
a boy the rubber ball because he always
Right.
bounced back.
Because he always bounce back. Be that rubber ball. Always know there's a comeback. You got a lot of people to deal with things and they don't know how to bounce back, or they don't come back, or you got people committing suicide and things like that. Always know you can be that rubber ball and bounce back. It may not be the same way or as big as it was before, or it may be bigger than what it was before, but you can always bounce back. So that's kind of what I like people to take away. You can always just be you. You can always bounce back, man.
Wise words from a quarter of a century veteran in this game. I only got one more question, really. This is my own little personal questions. You familiar with Rap Snacks? Do you remember Rap Snacks?
Yes.
You get at the corner store, had your favorite rapper. They're bringing them shits back. I guess they got some stale Doritos. They put a little Yachty on them. They got some stale Doritos. They put a little Yachty on them. They got some uncooked popcorn. They put little Uzi Vert on the bag or whatever. If they were going to release an R.O.C. rap snack, what would you be, motherfucker? Would you be pretzel rods? Would you be salt and vinegar chips? Would you be sweet tarts?
If they did chips and they were like, okay, what flavor, what flavor potato chips would you want to be? You know how Lay's does them crazy ass obscure flavors? I don't know what flavor I would really want it to be, but maybe like a chip, but like you dust it with chocolate. So it's just so obscure.
Ooh,
and it only comes out every whatever. You see what I'm saying? It would have that would have to be
limited.
me.
You could find it in one store on one day for one fucking week, and then it's gone for 8 months, and then it pops up in your lunch bag, and then it pops up in a vending machine at the DMV when you wait.
That's it. You better get
That's
it.
the best. To be honest with you, man, I assumed you were going to say humble pie because you are one of the most humble and modest dudes I ever met.
Thank you.
No ego. In closing, man, tell the people where they can find you online. Tell the heads where they can go out and cop that hot newness, Digital Voodoo.
Man, y'all can find me at my Twitter. I am the R.O.C. The R.O.C. official. It's Facebook. I'm the R.O.C. on Instagram, and definitely pick up the album at twistedshop.com. You can definitely get the album. Them cats over there take care of you. You get it ASAP. They're great over there. So crazy and great the way this all came together and how hard everybody has worked. It's amazing, and everybody that supports and you too, Chuck, and everybody interviewing and things like that. It's like greatly appreciated. It's hard to put into words sometimes. Like, man, everybody doing all this stuff for me and saying all this stuff, man. Damn. But I appreciate it, man. It's great. Thank you.
Well, let me thank you for your 25 years of hard work writing underground history. You've already gone down as a legendary figure, and I know you're going to continue to do so. I appreciate the time. I can't wait to see you live again, and may success and continued happiness.
Thank you, brother.
Well, that was fucking awesome. Raps on Contact, ROC, 25-year veteran in the game, stopping in, speak to me, East Coast Beast Host, right here on Beard Speaks. Huge thanks to the ROC, Majik Ninja Entertainment, and Kerosene Media for hooking this shit up today. I know it was quite a long conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some shit. Big ups to my sponsor, Brawlers Inc. As always, make sure you're checking them out, brawlersinclothing.com. That is the home of the official East Coast Beast Host hater shirt, available in 4 motherfucking color combinations. Big, huge, fantastic ups to YouTuber Real Wicked Acid Rap. In my preparation for today's interview, I had to look up a lot of old and obscure, hard to find fucking Detroit underground, and that motherfucker's YouTube's got almost all of it. Go over there, throw him a subscribe, check out what he's got over there. And shitheads, until next time, the beard has spoken.